Good morning from wilderness on the garden route in South Africa. This video is a new segment to the vlog series and something you've probably never seen before, a Q&A. Let's go. So to start this Q&A, I want to let you know where I got these questions from. Yesterday, I put up an Ask Me Anything on my Instagram stories and was able to get a lot of feedback through that within the last 24 hours. And that's where I'm pulling all of these questions. And these aren't even all of the questions that were asked, which is really cool. So if you did see that and you asked a question, I don't get to it in this video, I will try and respond to you on Instagram. If you're not following me on Instagram, this is where you can follow me on Instagram, and be sure to check out the stories for the next Q&A, because I want to try and do this every couple of months to be able to share with you my thinking and answer your questions about our lifestyle and about this job and the videography business within the travel and tourism industry. So yes, go and check that out. Also, I posted the same Ask Me Anything in the community tab of this channel. And I guess once you get close to 10,000 subscribers, you get access to posting on your YouTube account, and that's under the community section of the channel. So that's really cool. I'm happy to be able to create that community and engage with you that way. So that's where the questions came from. Let's jump right into the Q&A with our first question. What is the hardest part about traveling full-time, from my man Philly Fresh? And my answer to you, Phil, is family and friends and maintaining relationships. Now, as you guys know from watching the channel, I get to travel with my girlfriend Nelly, which is amazing, and we have a really great relationship, and we travel together all the time, and we can share our nomadic lifestyle together. But it's increasingly difficult to share what we experience with our friends and family back home, or people that we meet on the road, or fellow video creators and photographers, because it's often just us. You know, we don't have the opportunity very often to travel with friends, or to invite people to come with us, or to see our families. So that can be one of the hardest things, is to maintain those relationships, and that, you know, you have to balance that when you're traveling full time, and be able to reach out to people and communicate more effectively. So that's the hardest thing about traveling full time. Second question in this first beautiful location is, how far in advance do you plan your trips, and where feels most like home outside of home? From Wadger. So Wadger, I doubt that's your real name, but I like it. How far in advance do we plan our trips? Usually Nelly and I are planning our trips about 6 months in advance. And we are leaving a lot of space for variables, for last minute changes, for last minute jobs. But in general, we like to try and be planned about 6 months in advance. Where feels like home most outside of home? So I'm from Toronto, Canada. I grew up in Oshawa, Ontario, which is just outside of Toronto. And that doesn't really feel like home, I must admit. I haven't lived there for about 12 years. I still have some very, very good friends there from high school. But my parents, in their house, they're actually selling that house and moving out this year. And once they leave, there'll be no real connection to Oshawa as home. So I guess I'm still sort of looking for home. I don't really feel that sense of home, which is why it's so easy for me to be nomadic. I've been living nomadically, traveling the world for the better part of 10 years. And like the last year and a half doing it with Nelly has been so comfortable and so natural for both of us that we're just gonna keep going. So right now, nowhere really feels like home, and we're sort of searching for home, but at the same time, life on the road feels like home. So the next two questions are from Carlos Van Vegas, and they are about cameras, which is awesome. So which camera will you buy after the 5D Mark III? That is a very good question, and the honest answer is I have no idea. I've got a few specifications that I would really like to have in my next camera. Ideally it would be mirrorless full frame with just like 3 lenses max, because we're traveling all the time and we're living nomadic. So I'm trying to reduce weight but still have the same kind of image quality, and ideally it would be able to do really good video as well. So I was hoping that the Canon EOS R would be that camera, maybe the Z6 from Nikon. It could even be the Sony Alpha A7 III, which I've had rumors may come out, the A7R III. So there are a few specifications that I really want to meet, but it will likely be mirrorless full frame, and I'm just not ready to dive into the EOS R yet. I think when I see BVS next, I'll probably get a much better look into his EOS R and be able to chat with him about what he thinks about it going into, you know, a month or plus of him actually using it in the field. So yeah, I'm waiting for the right time. My 5D Mark III still does the job for me really well, and I'm happy with it, so that's cool. We're starting to get a bit overexposed here, so I apologize for that. We will take a quick break and then jump into the next question. So the next question is, do you ever get camera envy when on a photo tour? Yes, 100% I get camera envy on a photo tour. There are so many awesome brands out there with new cameras like the Olympus and the Fuji and the Sony Alpha series and the new mirrorless from Nikon and Canon. But yeah, I am definitely envy. I shoot with a 5D Mark III that is totally beat up. I've had it for like 4 years. It's got almost 200,000 images, and looks like it's been kicked around a whole bunch. So it is very much time for me to look to getting a new camera. But as I answered in the last question, I'm just not there yet. So yeah, when we go on these photo tours and you look at everybody else's gear, it's amazing to see the variables and how many people are shooting with different brands and still getting great images at the end of the day. So I know we're all techies and gear people, and yeah, I'm definitely envious. Next question is from Christine Vogely, and it is, if you could do only one of the two for the rest of your life, photography or vlogging, which one would it be? So the answer is vlogging about photography. Gotcha. Next one from Christine Vogely is a very challenging one. I'm gonna have a bit more of a serious answer. Who is your favorite YouTuber and why? So it's not that I have necessarily one favorite channel or YouTube personality that I like to watch, but depending on where I'm at, there's different sources of inspiration that I find, especially on YouTube. So right now, probably the #1 YouTuber that I'm following is Brian North. He's a South African filmmaker who I found on YouTube about 1.5 years ago, and the short videos that he makes are incredible. They're absolutely amazing. I will link them in the description, and one of the reasons why he's my favorite right now is because I reached out to him on Instagram and said, hey man, I'm in South Africa. I would love to meet you and ask you a few questions and interview him for this channel, and he responded. You know, somebody who I sort of idolize or look up to responded to me directly on Instagram and said, yeah man, that sounds awesome, would love to meet you, let's sit down and do this interview. So that's really cool. I love that we have the opportunity through social media to connect with people who you would sometimes or not normally expect to have any communication or interaction with. So shout out to Brian North. I'm not sure how to pronounce the name correctly, but I will find out soon enough when I meet him in Cape Town in a couple weeks. So that's my #1 YouTube inspiration right now. Next one, what tips can you offer about working with your significant other? From Curtis Strange. Very, very good question. As I'm sure you guys know, Nelly and I travel together all the time, and that can be significantly rewarding, but also be challenging at the same time. So I think that people know that when you work together and live together and travel together, it's easy to get on each other's nerves. And I think a tip that I can offer about how to travel and work with your significant other is have your own independence. It's really good that you have different hobbies, different projects, different work environments. So say for example, Nelly and I were at an Airbnb, we would try and make sure that there were sort of 2 separate offices or 2 areas where we could work separate from one another, so that we're not sort of always across from each other all the time, and that creates your own sort of sense of independence, so you've got that separation during the day, and that's really important when working with your significant other. Also, sometimes your significant other can help you in the fields filming or planning, doing any sort of logistics. So that is a huge tip to working together, is to support one another. What is the greatest ongoing challenge you face? From Stephen Leoy. That is a very good question and a challenging one. Stephen, I think that the right answer and the honest answer is financial freedom. So in travel and tourism, as a lot of you know, you don't really make a lot of money. Don't get into this industry to make money. You get into it for the lifestyle. And since I've been 18 years old, I really have never made a significant amount of money. And I feel like I'm always sort of scratching on the surface to stay above water and not be in debt and have enough financial freedom to travel. And that is the greatest ongoing challenge of like my adult life, is making enough money to sustain this lifestyle and to have financial freedom and to be able to build my own business and to travel where we want. I mean, it looks like being nomadic is this amazing lifestyle and you're always on the road and it's like you're everything is vacation, but it's really not. It's a grind, it's a hustle, and that is a consistent stress, and it's definitely a challenge, and it has been the greatest ongoing challenge for me. So yeah, that's the honest answer there. So we move back inside because the next question is about luggage. So how do you keep your luggage size to carry on only, and how many shirts and pants do you travel with? From Charlie Mauer, who is my Argentine Che Boludo buddy. And to answer your question, dude, it depends on the airline, but I try to only travel with one rolly suitcase, which is carry-on size. It's about this big. It's one of the cheap ones. It only cost me about 70 euros. And that's my main carry-on, which goes above the seat in the airplane. Then my main travel camera bag is the Manfrotto Manhattan 50, the mover. And I think you guys have seen the video that I made sort of reviewing this. If you haven't, I will link it right here. And this is my main camera bag. So this is where all my important stuff goes. So all my camera gear, my laptop, hard drives, wallet, passport, etc. And then I bring this one on my back. And most airlines, they allow you one personal item. So if I rock up in line at the gate and I've got this backpack on and it looks just like this, most of the time they think that it's just like a normal backpack. They don't realize how heavy it is and how much gear is in it. So I tend to get away with this as a rolly, right? And this backpack, and they just see that as carry-on only. Now, I have had it where they've weighed both of these bags and I've had to check one of them at the gate. So I tend to travel with all of my not so important things in this carry-on, in the case that I have to check it, so that if it ever does get lost or it doesn't find its way to my final destination, it's not the end of the world. I've still got all the most important stuff here. So that's how I keep it carry-on. How many pants and shirts do I have? Not very many. I've got 2 pairs of pants, 1 pair of jeans, and 1 pair of like casual pants. And I've got with me here 4 t-shirts and then 5 the one I'm wearing. And then I have 2 like nice button-up t-shirts. I'm not sure where they are right now, somewhere in the room. But really it's not very much, man. And my clothes are constantly changing too. It depends. Like in Patagonia last year, you'll remember, Charlie, that I left half of my clothes in one of the hotels by accident. I totally forgot. So yeah, the clothes rotate, but I don't have very many, that's for sure. Do you use a worldwide SIM card or a new one to every country and continent that you go to? Question from Tristan Photographs, and the answer is a good one. I have an unlocked iPhone. It's the 6 Plus, and I got it unlocked because I use a different SIM card with every country that I go to. And that sounds a little ridiculous, but nowadays it's so easy to get really cheap data on a SIM card for every new destination that it's one of the first things that I do. As soon as I arrive at the airport, if there isn't already a cell provider in the airport, I will go as soon as I arrive, either that day or the next morning, and try and get a data plan so that I can get online right away. And I've got access to Google Maps and the internet for reviews and looking up photo locations and all that stuff. It's really, really important. So it's actually kind of funny that in my contacts in my phone, I've got a list of all of the old numbers. See if you can see that. those are all old SIM cards. I used to actually keep track of the exact number. Now I don't even bother saving it. I just keep the card that they give you with the number written down in my wallet in case anybody ever wants to call me. But one of the things about being nomadic is that nobody ever really calls you. So people email me and they message me, and that's how I have communication. The whole like calling people on your phone, the only thing I really ever use that for is Skype, and I have data for Skype. So, or even FB messages, I've been doing that recently too. So yes, local SIM cards in every new country. We're back outside, and the next question is about Iceland, which is awesome because that is the next BVS Adventure Photo Tour. So the question is, do you have any tips for me as I'm going to Iceland that would help me look after my gear? Yes, a sturdy tripod, because Iceland is crazy windy and the weather is changing all the time, just like Patagonia. So you need a really sturdy, strong, good tripod for sure. Shower cap is good too, in case that there's any rain, you can cover your camera really quickly. So that's something that I would recommend. And then it's not necessarily gear specific, but to have lots of layers of clothing so you can delayer and relayer depending on what's happening with the weather, and waterproof for sure. So having a waterproof shell jacket and a waterproof pant layer is really important for Iceland. And that's it. This is the end of the first ever Q&A session here on the channel. Thank you so much for putting in your questions. That was really interesting for me. Again, it's the first one I've done, so I wasn't really too sure how to promote it. I put the question, Ask Me Anything, on Instagram yesterday, and through the stories I got a number of responses, which was really cool. I wasn't even able to answer all of them in this video, and I know that we did already go over time on this video, so thanks for making it this far to the end. If I didn't get to your question, I will try and answer it on Instagram, as I said at the beginning of this video. But that was really interesting for me. It's very cool to see what it is that you're interested in and how you view this lifestyle, and to try and share my mentality and my thinking going into creating these videos and managing this channel, and how I see the evolution of this channel going into the future. I'd like to try and do more of the Q&A sessions, I think every couple months, so stay tuned for that. And if you are looking to be a part of the next one, be sure to follow along on Instagram and also the community tab here on the channel, where I will be posting before the video looking for those submissions. So very, very cool. I hope you've enjoyed those answers, found them interesting and rewarding. If you have any additional questions about my answers, throw them in the comment section below, and I will do my best to answer you there. So as always, thank you so much for watching. I hope you like this video, and I will see you on the next one.